Deen al-Fitra. Next we want to go to the religion, Islam. Al-Islam. Al-Islam. God says of Al-Islam that it is Deen al-Fitra. Deen al-Fitra. فطرة التي فطر الناس عليها. It is the religion of fitra. And the translators will give their translation, their word for English word for fitra. But let us find out the word for fitra. God says of himself that he is the one who fattara samawati wal ard. From the same word, just used as a verb. He is the one that fattara samawati wal ard. He is the one who originated the skies and the earth, or the heavens and the earth. Fattara samawati wal ard. And it says of God in the whole Quran that he is the Fatir. Al-Fatir. He is the originator. And God puts the question to man who want to question what God revealed and want to question his messenger Muhammad, or want to question what Muhammad is teaching them. They you question God. Why don't you question your own creation? You question God and neglect or fail to question your own creation. How did you get here? You're in the dark. You don't know. You only have guesses. You only have theories. You have no concrete proof. So you don't even know your own beginning, and you're going to question how God began. And you have questions for God, and you forget to question your own creation. It is wonderful. So plain, so logical, so rational, so factual. Now, I know you perhaps have never heard an expression like that, so factual. I said that for some of my friends too, who used to put all their faith in the actual facts. And they were actually lacking in fact. Praise be to Allah. The guidance that his soul that God created was hungering for, starving for, and qualified him to be leader, liberator for the whole world. Teaching for all worlds. Mercy to all people in all worlds. Yes. So now, with our attention on those two, let us go now to the Quran. Attention on the Quran. God says, this book, Hudan lin-nas, this book is guidance for the people. All people, lin-nas. But it is not only guidance. It is not only guidance. The world is full of guidance. Each people got their guidance. Each nation has its guidance. Each individual has his or her guidance. The world is full of guidance. And the guidance was here in the New Testament. The guidance was there. The guidance was in the Old Testament, and guidance came behind guidance, like prophets came after prophets, guidance after guidance. But people looked at it and they came up with their own idea of it and filled the world up full of different guidance. Guidance that are varying with each other. Guidance that are conflicting with each other. So it's not just enough to give guidance. We have a problem. This group has this guidance. And they say of our guidance that our guidance is not the genuine one. Our guidance is not the authentic one. And another group have their guidance, and they saying to the group that just condemned us that that group too doesn't have the right guidance. So it's not enough just to give us guidance. We need a way to argue with others that got guidance. We need a way to prove our point to others that claim that their guidance is the guidance too. So God says, Allah says subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is guidance hudan linnas for every human person. وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. Not only is it guidance, but it is the rule. It is the logic. It is the rule for debating to prove what is guidance and what is not guidance. Allahu Akbar. هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. Praise be to Allah. Now, with so much said about the human person in his or her most excellent form, made by God, made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, highly glorified this evening. And now that we've also had something to say, much to say really, about Al-Islam. Few words, but a lot to say. Now that we've had our say about Al-Islam as the religion answering the need in the perfect human soul that God created. And we've had something to say about the Quran now. God says of the Quran, because this book is so valuable. This book is so valuable. This book is a must for the salvation of the world. Without this book, the world cannot have salvation. You hear what I'm saying? I'm not adding, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not stretching. I'm saying this very modestly. This book is a must. This book is a must if human beings and the human community of the world is to be saved. This book is salvation. This book is the life. This book is the life. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Come living. For what? For prayer. For prayer. You're called to prayer. And you're told to come alive. Just like a magician or a magic or something. Saying to the dead, come living again. Come to life again. And come pray with us. Come pray with us. So where is the food for your life? The prayer is the food for your life. You're being called to prayer because the prayer is the food for your life. The prayer itself is the food for your life, and the food for your life is the life. The food for your life is the life that God wants you to come into. It is the life. And it has been prescribed or it has been put together. The diet was made, or the menu was put together specifically for your original soul and your needs as a human being in this world. Yes. So you don't come alive. Wake up, come alive. Dead. Rise and be alive. Be alive. Dead. Get up and be alive. Come to Salat. And what is the Salat? The Quran. The Quran. When you come to the Salat, you're going to hear the Quran. One time in the month of Ramadan, the Prophet recited the whole Quran in one night. In one night. The whole of the Quran in one night. What was that Quran? The life. What was the hearing? The life. So what is your call to come to Islam? Come to the life. The Quran is the life. The Quran is the life of the world.
With environment, with the right environment, other members of the human race, you grew up and you became like us. You stood up and you joined the adults walking on 2 feet and doing marvelous things with your brain and your heart and etc. This is a process. This is evolving. The community is also expected to evolve and get better and grow more and more and more. It's not just a statement of a fact or of our nature as a community, but it's also a revelation, is that we should constantly be in evolution. We should constantly be evolving. We are not yet the best we can be. We are far from it. So we should always understand that God expects us to grow and progress and become better and better, not to regress, not to lose our balance and lose our intelligence and lose our good morals, to infighting and fighting with enemies outside and get thrown off balance and get thrown out of our true form. We have to get back our life. And what we need is with us. Allah revealed the Quran, and it is complete. It's complete. It can take care of all of our needs. How can the Muslims get out of this trouble we're in? Go to the Quran. The answer is there. Go to Muhammad the Prophet, his way of expressing and living the religion of Islam. The answer is there. The Prophet said, don't be angry, meaning don't give in to the passion of anger. Don't let yourself give up your intelligence and your good nature and your good behavior to the passion of anger. And I think too many of us have been so pressured by bad circumstances in our life due to colonial occupation, wars, etc., and the denial of freedom in our own lands. I think we have been so pressured until we have been forced out of the Muslim into the angry creature. The angry creature. The challenges for the Ummah and the responsibility of Muslims in America. That's what I'm attempting to address. In the Quran, we read, "Our Lord, for sure, you are gathering the people and Nas for a day about which there will be no doubt." So this God is saying he's gathering the whole of mankind, not just Muslims. He's gathering his creation, all of the people he created. He's gathering them together. It's a process that starts way back in time, in antiquity, and even maybe further back than antiquity. It is a process that starts. As a student of science, we look at community life and we understand that community life has its own forces working. Not dictated by one person or by all the people thinking and saying, this is how it's going to happen, or this is how we're going to progress, this is how we're going to evolve. No. Nature itself is working. Nature produced phenomena. And also, the intelligence of man, the intellect, and the activity of the intellect, and the moral nature, and the activity of the moral nature. All of these things are working and working to bring about change for the better. However, sometimes the same forces will work and set us back, or even turn us against each other. But man, as society, eventually overcomes the moral nature, the intelligence, eventually wins out against attempts by human thinking and human behavior and activities to set it back, to set society back. Society recovers. For a long time, the world was in darkness. Many generations in darkness. Europe was in darkness. And then the time came for Muhammad the Prophet to become a world leader, the world leader. And he became the world leader, giving the Quran and explaining and teaching the Quran. A new light lit the world and brought about a change for the better. And the humanity began to grow again as God intended for humanity to grow. Civilizations became true to the word, and we lost that, though. In time, we lost it. But it will come back. That's the community dynamics working even when we are not conscious of what's going on or not conscious of what to do. The community dynamics are working. And God calls us in the Quran Nas, and Nas, and Nas. And Nas suggests, the term Nas suggests friendliness, kindness. People want to be with each other because of the goodness of the human heart. Other term could have been used. God says he is gathering a nas. People who want to be with each other because of the goodness of their hearts. And when we don't get the right treatment, we open our hearts to people and they return coldness for warmth, coldness for warmth. It turns us off. And I've heard some of us say, oh, I don't want to be around them. They're not even human. Oh, I don't want to be around them. They're not even human. And Nas. God is gathering and Nas for a day about which there will be no doubt. All of us. At this point, I want to say this, and I'm going to say it at this point. I had it for later, but I'm going to say it right now. What we need in America as Muslims, we need what I asked our African American brothers to give us: a leadership group, an intelligentsia, a leadership group. We need a leadership group, not necessarily from one color or another color, or from one nationality or another, or from one ethnic group or another, but let's look for the khuluq that our brother gave us good instructions on. Let's look for the khuluq, for those who have the inner picture, the inner image that Allah wants. Let us look for that in leaders. Don't look for the color, don't look for the language, race, or nothing, or nationality. Look for the khuluq. And when we find the khuluq in those brothers, let us become a fraternity of friends. Yeah. Friends to be the protector of our brothers and sisters throughout America. Aren't we supposed to be our brothers and the wali of our brothers and sisters? Waliullah and waliyu our brothers and sisters? Yes. So let us form a group like that. And I'm ready to be a member of that group right now, and I don't care who be the Amir. Takbir! As long as the Amir have what we want in all of us, and that's the khuluq that Allah wants in us. The picture and image, the inner person. And I'm telling you, we can do wonders here in this country. You know, there's a word, inas. Inas. Inas means, it refers to the sociable nature. The sociable nature. And annas are people with the inas. They have the sociable nature. America is growing more and more as a country of many nationals, many ethnic groups, and many nationals. This is a good time for us. Democracy, as we know it in the political history of the United States of America, democracy is a watered down form of the shura and the society we can have with a true shura. Democracy is a weak form of that. It could never be equal to what God has revealed for us. God says in the Quran, لِكُلٍّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شِرْعَةً وَمِنْهَاجًا وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَكِنْ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِيمَا أَتَاكُمْ فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ إِلَى اللَّهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ جَمِيعًا فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ فِيهِ تَخْتَلِفُونَ. For every people he has given a law and a way, a methodology. And if God had so willed, he could have made you all one united community. But it is that he will try you in what you are given. Try you, test you in what you are given. What has God given us? He's given us the Quran. He's given us the way of our prophet. He's given us Tawheed, the concept of Tawheed. He's given us Tawheed. He's given us the belief in one Creator and the unity of His works. The unity of His works And his works is everything in the heavens, everything in the skies, and everything in the earth, and everything in man. That's his works. He have given us the idea of the unity of this, that this system is one continuous logic. The logic is not violated. It is one continuous logic. God is one, the maker, the designer, the artist is one. His works is one. Humans are one. Humans are one. So Allah wants us to see the one picture for human beings. He says that he has made you in the bellies or in the bodies or stomachs of your mothers. And he has made your form or your pictures beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. Then he says, he speaks of us in one picture. One picture. So he made the African, he made the Asian, he made the European, he made all of us in our mothers. But he made one picture, and he made it most excellent. What is the one picture? The one identity in common. The one identity that we have in common equally. When the baby comes here from black woman, white woman, red woman, yellow woman, no matter what she is, the baby comes here all the same. The baby make the same sounds. The baby wants the same thing. The baby doesn't know any of our languages. The baby has to learn all these different languages. The baby knows nothing about our nationality. The baby has to learn our nationality. The baby knows nothing about our beautiful cultures and our ethnic foods and dress. So that's why Allah wants us to go to the Kaaba. He wants us to go to Masjid al-Haram with all the dress off, men. It ain't the women that's got the problem, it's us. We got the problem. Take the clothes off, man, and put on the baby wrap. Put on the baby wrap. Wrap the body of the baby wrap. Go back to your original nature. And if you go back there and your heart is in it and your spirit is in it, your mind and soul is in it, when you get back home, if you were messed up, you're a new creation. Takbir! Allahu Akbar. Takbir! Allahu Akbar. Lastly, my dear brothers and sisters, lastly, the name Muslim. You know, we're to call ourselves Muslims. And we're told by our prophet that everybody, not just us, but everybody is born Muslim. Isn't that what he said? I should make a dua and just go sit down now. I have come to believe with all of my heart, soul, and mind that Allah is introducing through Muhammad a term for us to use instead of human. We are not to say human, we say Muslim. Thank you very much. May God forgive us and guide us and have mercy on us always.
Yes. Salam. So people, we're there with you, brothers and sisters. We're there with you. We're coming to a final close because the prayer time is coming. But please stay with us and tell your friends. Yeah. And subscribe. And share. Come again.
Can you kind of give us a synopsis of the first work? Not your first work, but the first one I mentioned just now.
Yeah. I think a good place to start there is just the origin of that book.
Yes.
Like what even got me on that trajectory. I remember some years ago, a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, Imam Dawood Yassin, he was an imam in Connecticut. He's in Texas now. He was at Zaytuna prior to that. But when he was an imam in Connecticut, he called me one time and he told me that there was a brother from North African Arab country, who was married to an African American sister. And so he was telling her that they had to go 50-50 on like all the bills. And I found it to be strange. I said, well, why would he do that? I mean, why would he demand that? If it was one from his own country, then he wouldn't demand that from her. Right?
Yeah.
Then a Pakistani brother who was one of my students, he's come to my home and he was taking private classes with me. He sent me a message one day and said that, he come across another brother from a similar country who actually, was married, or actually wanted to marry an African-American sister. She was about 30 years old and she wanted to get married. And he proposed to her, but her father objected to the marriage. He didn't want to marry her to this guy. But the guy sent her a message telling her that she didn't need her father's permission. When he was confronted on the issue, he sent the individual who confronted him a quote from a book, a Maliki source, which basically said that a black woman does not require or is not required to follow the normal sequence of guardians, right, when it comes to marriage, because she's considered to be undesirable. Right. And I was like, whoa. And again, I'm a student of the Maliki school and I read this stuff before, but I didn't really notice this much of it. Right. So I got into the commentaries and then the super commentaries, and I was like, boy, man, this is really interesting here, and it's easier to find in the Maliki school, but like all these Africans are Malikis. And I was like, well, why are so many Africans Maliki, even though this stuff exists in the school? So it led me to sort of like look into this question of blackness, right? What does it mean to be black? Not only to, us here naturally, but what did it mean for the Arabs? What did it mean for the Africans? Even more, right? And so as I delve deeper into this, I come to realize that in the old world, that there are different types of blacks, right? And the Negro was the worst of them, right? In other words, the word the Negro is Zanj or Zenji, right? Because you look into the Arab dictionaries, Arab to English dictionaries, Hansver, you look into J.G. Hava's dictionary, and both of them translate Zanj as Negro. And I said to myself, okay, well, Negro, Spanish word means black, no problem. But still, like, okay, why not just say black, right? Or, some type of territory, whatever, So and I started to look a little bit deeper into the Arabic dictionaries and trying to see if someone actually gave some specific description, right, of who these people were, where their location was. And alhamdulillah, I was able to find these things. And it came out that the Negro was considered to be the uncivilized version of all the different types of blacks that exist, right? And so there's an old book that was written probably in the 4th century of Islam, called Hudud al-Alam, the limits of the world. The author is unknown, but it's definitely from that time. The book itself, nobody knows who wrote the book, right? But it's from that time, and apparently the author was an explorer, and he was an Arab apparently too, because he wrote the book in Arabic. So he talks about. He's kind of like Ibn Khaldun or Ibn Battuta, right? So they traveled as well. And so he talks about when he went down towards the, I guess we would call like the equator, right? Sort of sub-Saharan desert, right, of Africa, on the east coast of Africa.
Yeah.
And he found these people. He said that these people were naked. They were cannibals. They were very warlike, right? It was hard, to even negotiate with them, that they were uncivilized. You couldn't really it was hard to even understand their language, right? So he said these things about them. And he said, there are no Muslims here. But then he moved up a little bit further to the north to a place called Zabij. And in Zabij, he said, okay, when Zabij, the people are half naked. They're not cannibals, right? There are some Muslims there, right? But then we moved up to Abyssinia. He says, these are some of the most beautiful people, that you've seen. They're very peace-loving. There are a lot of Muslims there, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, so even in the Arab mindset in the past, and you can find this also repeated by scholars like Mas'udi, right? who actually was writing after this particular author, who are similar sort of division, different types of blacks, right? And they're not, all the same, right? So I said to myself, okay, well, I think that the Negro is a word which was applied to the Zunj, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where you get the stereotypical sort of viewpoint about, the black savage, and and of course we get from Negro, get the N-word and all these things, right? And so I was really interested in that, and I wanted to understand even among the Sahaba, like how they interacted with the people who may qualify as what we call Negro, right? And if there's any distinction, I wanted to know like the color of the Sahaba, so because typically we think about Bilal ibn Rabah radiallahu anh, and we say, okay, well, Bilal was discriminated against because he was black. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, I've come to the conclusion that was not the reason he was discriminated against. It wasn't because of his black skin at all. It actually was because he was simply what we call an outsider to Arabia. Mm-hmm. An outsider in the sense that his father most likely was not an Arab. There's very little known about his father. We know his father's name, but there's very little known about his father, right? And I know that some people have claimed that his father was an Arab, but I don't accept that argument. I think that he was probably himself an Abyssinian. But Bilal was born and raised in Arabia. His mother definitely was also Ethiopian. But if you actually look at the descriptions of the Sahaba, like for instance, someone like Ammar ibn Yasir, of course he was the son of an Abyssinian woman, who was Sumayya bin Khuyat, right? But also Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. You learn a lot of them. There's a narration of Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anh, which is found in the Tabaqat ibn Sa'd, related by Muhammad al-Baqir, the famous Imam of the Shia, right, who is actually a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. He describes Ali ibn Abi Talib as being the same complexion as Bilal ibn Rabah, right? Yeah. Osama ibn Zayd, Zayd ibn Haritha, there are a number of them. So to all this leads me to conclude that, well, it could not be because of his skin color, right? So typically, what we find is that among the Arabs, the people who actually were discriminated against were either slaves or former slaves, or just people who just simply were not Arabs, right? Or a combination of them. So for instance, Suhaib al-Rumi, right? Suhaib al-Rumi was ethnically an Arab. He's only called Suhaib al-Rumi because when he was a little boy, he was kidnapped and taken into Rome. Right. And then he returned to Arabia later on when he was an adult. And by the time he had returned, he had lost the ability to speak fluently in Arabic. Right. So they call him Suhaib al-Rumi. So for instance, there's a story about Umar ibn Khattab visiting Suhaib on his estate. And with Umar is one of his own servants, Aslam. And so as Suhaib sees them approaching, he starts to jump up with joy and he says, Ya Nas, Ya Nas, Ya Nas, And so in Arabic, Ya Nas means, oh people, right? Umar ibn Khattab says to Aslam, he says, well, that's really strange. We don't call people that way. Why is he saying, oh people, oh people? But Aslam says, no, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's not saying, oh people. He's calling his servant, Yohannas. Again, he found it difficult to pronounce the words, right? Yeah. Bilal, on the other hand, was fluent. Bilal actually spoke better Arabic than Suhaib al-Rumi. Right. He was born and raised in Arabia. As a matter of fact, there's a fabricated hadith that says that Bilal, when he recited the adhan, that he couldn't say sheen. Yeah, that's very popular. So he would say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Yeah. But no. And so there's a hadith that says the Prophet said that Bilal's seen is sheen according to Allah. With Allah, his seen is a sheen. And a number of hadith scholars, they say this hadith was fabricated. Right? Ibn Kathir, in his Bidayah wa Nihaya, goes as far as saying that Bilal was not only had a beautiful voice, right? But Bilal was one of the most eloquent of all people, right? And he's talking about a hadith. He said that hadith is fabricated. Yeah. Bilal has his own poetry, right? So in other words, I was concerned with, again, just like, what does it mean to be black? in the minds of the Arabs. What does it mean to be black, even among the blacks themselves, right? You know, there are different types of blacks. Maybe the Africans who became Malikis, they either didn't see these injunctions of these Egyptian scholars who were saying that black women don't have to follow the priority, the sort of the order of priority when it comes to guardians in marriage, you know, because they're undesirable. Maybe they didn't see those things, or maybe they just said, "Hey, man, that's some cultural stuff right, happening. Yeah. That's just some tribal cultural stuff. We don't share their sentiments when it comes to these things, you know. So that has nothing to do with Malik himself or the Maliki school. So we are Malikis, right? So those are some of the things I was really interested in, and what sort of led to that book being written. And it was actually it was my dissertation that I had written to get my PhD.
Yes, we will discuss these things at a later date because we don't want to violate Ramadan, and we don't really want to confuse our souls at this juncture, because, you know, many of us know that there's so much conversation about blackness and not humanness, and we want to project the human quality and not a black, because there's no black land. That's how we work with that, you know what I mean? Black land. Where's the black land? We know that there is Africa, yes. We know that, and many people know that. But in terms of the black land, where would that be? There's no place called black land. The people who had problems with us, from once they saw our accomplishments, they were the ones that created this racial disparity. And somehow we have come of age, but we still lean on it. And what it does is cause distortion. It causes a lot of problems among us. So we're going as per normal.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
Don't forget, tell your friends, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, aunties and uncles, yes, and subscribe. Everybody.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
Assalamu alaikum. Please don't suffer from despair. We are saying this earth, this world, this present time is a changing. and it will not be brought back. So changing. Many things that is happening, and we have seen it, and we're hearing about it. Stay positive. You have heard the news, and now the countries, especially the United Kingdom, or Britain, or England, their heart is not responding to the atrocities, and now they're finding that they have casualties of their own, and their heart is still not responding. You see? But the earth, this world that we're living in, is a changing. Trust me. We're on the way. Abdullah, come here. Come here, son.
I'm exhausted. Last night I couldn't sleep, but when I did I could hear bombs in my dreams. Nightmare situation. How could they be so evil, making martyrs out of children and innocent people? We expect the bombs, not knowing where next. Huddle in the corner of my room, trying to protect my little brother as the building shakes like it's possessed. But nothing stronger than the will of the oppressed. I bomb back with my lyrics and rhymes, living the times trying to break the Palestinian minds. What's hiding in the clouds hanging over my head? My dad risks his life outside to buy bread. The fourth war in my 12th year. At this stage I'm numb, no I haven't feel scared. There's nothing I can do in this case to stay safe. I'm brave, even though this house could be in my grave. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall but nothing is ever changing. That's
Yes, Brother Abdullah. You see? This is real, you know. It's real. Okay. So we're saying Salaam Alaikum, everybody.
Palestine's been occupied for decades, but a home for centuries. This land is generations of my family's memories. To plant, grow, and nurture the symbol of peace. The olive trees guaranteed that our people could eat. Living with limitations, pushed down by the occupation. Wanna see the pain? Take a look at the people's faces. Imagine being kicked out of the only house you ever known. We're praying for our souls while they're preying on our homes. It's not easy to put this into words. Looking at my baby sister, is this something she deserves? Growing up in a world where she's not treated the same, denied the right to live free because of where she came. They wanna occupy this land, won't let them occupy my mind. I stay occupied aside as I write about my life, because my only mission is to make people listen. This one's for Sheikh Jarrah, hoping it can make a difference. Cause the same thing happened in 48. My grandparents got evicted and forced to move away to the refugee camp in Gaza. No, nothing has changed, they can never return. So that's where I am today, getting calls from cousins to see if I am alive. This year is not fireworks that are lighting the sky. We're trying to celebrate an Eid and keep the faith. I guess you could say it's how memories are made. Palestine.
Yes, these are factual. So don't suffer from despair. Seriously. Also, the next breaking news is that the Zionists want Al Jazeera out. You know, they're been restricting them, but now them, and that is all about who has information. You know, straight up information. But the League of Nations, United Nations, is drying its feet. In Africa, they send their troops in a hurry. Why ain't the troops them gone in? I can't understand why the troops them ain't gone in. And since they also ceasefire, why hasn't that happened? All these lie talking. and the American lie talking is stalling, time stalling. Their thing is, let them get through Ramadan. And we're not going to even wait for the Eid. Just let them get through Ramadan and we will finish what we started. You understand? But the opposition in the country is also working against them. It's very sad to see the world and see how people are acting and reacting and not acting. And how easy it is to lie. And how easy it is to ignore wrongdoings. It's sad. But we will not suffer from despair. You know? Yes. So, salam alaikum.